Welcome to Ring Talk, the weekly, now back to weekly Goodwin Boxing show with myself, Martin Theobald, and with me, head of Goodwin Boxing, Steve Goodwin. How are you, Steve?
I'm good, my friend. We had a few drinks on Sunday at the old boxing awards, so it was quite nice to catch up with everybody. So it was good. It was we had a nice time on Sunday, and we're back to normal, getting ready for a show on Saturday.
We did. It was a really good evening, day at the Boxing Awards, Southern Area Awards. Congratulations again on being Southern Area Promoter of the Year. How many's that?
5, I think it is. 5 out
Yeah.
of 5. So yeah, I mean it's due for somebody else to go and win it now. But yeah, we've won every one so far. But again, there's some good other promoters doing their bit. So, but I was saying to somebody on Sunday, we came into promoting boxing in 2010. And not one promoter is left that we started with. They're all
Wow.
we are the only people left from 2010 still promoting.
And
Apart
some will have also come and gone in that same period as well.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we've got longevity. And again, a lot of people will come and go. It's quite interesting because I think a lot of people are trying to get that TV contract. And they come into it and they hope to get that. But the reality is when you've been in it for a long time, it's not that easy. It's not you can do as good a job on small hall, but if you need to fit what they need, it's a bit more to it than being a great promoter and doing a great job and being good at business and being able to deliver what they deliver. It's not exactly what they all look for. And obviously Frank and Eddie have stood the test of time. I mean, they're both very good promoters. They've got a good setup and they deliver. So, but apart from that, people, the rest of them doing it are not really putting on much of a product. Ben Shalom, obviously at Sky is very new, but obviously is, according to Frank Smith and Eddie Hearn, he's losing his contract if they know what's going on. So you just don't know whether he'll be here in 10 years' time or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I'd imagine Frank and Eddie will in their formats will still be running and going forever, but it's the ones underneath who aspire to get to the top, but it's very difficult to get there. And even some of the TV promoters that were going at that time, Maloney, Hatton, they're gone. McGuigan gone, all gone. And we sort of carried on going through and still doing what we do, churning over the champions, churning over the titles. But yeah, we were talking about Saturday. It's been a long journey. We've done it for a long time now. But I think boxing does burn people out as well. So just one.
Yeah, it does. And it's burned you out over time in phases. And then you've come back in with sort of greater vigor and enthusiasm as a result of it. But, there are peaks and troughs to it. It's not easy going, is it? There are times when it's shit and times when it's brilliant.
Yeah, and that's how it works. And it is what it is. You do your best. And what I said, it's just discussion. I said, what happens? You have to become immune to getting shit on. And you have to. Because when you get shit on at the start, it's awful. Then after a while, you get shit on and shit on and shit on by people that you wouldn't imagine are going to shit on you. So what you then do is you just become immune to it. You expect to be shit on. And then if somebody doesn't shit on you, it's a really added bonus. And that's the only way you can look at it.
Yeah, and we're going to come on to two people that haven't over time later on. But just to sort of tie up the stuff from Sunday, congratulations to the board, by the way. It was a smooth event that was brilliantly run and was engaging throughout.
Yes.
There was it was great to have time with some of those board members that it shows you see them, you say hello, you quickly sort of exchange words, but actually to have a bit of time with some of them and have conversations and see that human side of them was brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Then went for a couple of beers afterwards with a few of them. A few stories that were very much for the four walls of Weatherspoons. They were great, and it was a really enjoyable day. And you had, there were people there like Daniel Dubois, sort of rocked up, world heavyweight champion, who, may I say, is an absolute gem of a bloke. Signed the program for my son, sort of took photos with so many people, and just sort of engaged with all of it, along with Don Charles as well. Shout out to Don Charles for giving a very emotional speech and sort of went off in certain angles that I wasn't quite anticipating. But big shout out to Don Charles. But yeah, just a special mention really to those at the board that I think did a great day.
No, exactly. No, it was good. It was enjoyable. Roll on next year.
Yeah, and it was nice. Do you know, got a lot of time with Mickey and Moo. I haven't seen or spent that much time with Mickey in quite a while. Hearing stories of what he's doing over in Ghana, hearing stories about how things function. It was really interesting. Great bloke, Mickey.
Mm.
So yeah, along with all the other people that were there and sort of spending time with. So yeah, big thank you as well for having us. So coming on, you got a show this weekend, haven't you? So I'm going to pick out. It's a development show. I think that's probably fair to say, isn't it? It's one of the Fight Series shows, Fight Series 30. So we're going to run through some great names on there, even if the fights aren't quite as captivating as some people might be used to. I'm going to save one name right until the very end because it's an interesting one. But we'll start off with Qasim Kayani against Nathan Darby.
So Kazim basically is having his second fight, but a year apart. It was a year after his first fight. He's had so many problems. Very, very talented young man. He's brother of Amar Kayani, who's very decent welterweight. But yeah, he's got to get himself and get some momentum. I say this about so many boxers. Injuries, inactivity is the disaster. You've got to build up momentum, and it's not been his fault, but hopefully he can now be healthy and start to build. He's a very, very, very exciting talent, but he's got to get some momentum to his career. So I'm looking forward to seeing him again, and hopefully he'll get through this and come out again in March. Pardon me.
Quick turnaround for Taiwo Mosuro, who he
Super talented.
stopped Dylan Courtney in his last fight. Not many people ever put a dent in Dylan Courtney, let alone
Well,
stop.
Dylan, to be fair, it was a busted eye, but he was giving Dylan a hell of a time in there. He's now fighting a fighter from India who has fought at a decent level. So he's to a certain extent he's raising up the bar. And we're testing, but he's got to get. We want to bring him into title contention quite quickly, another one or two, and he can go in because he's very talented and he really wants to get a move on. So hopefully he'll get through this. We'll get to March next year, have a 6-rounder, maybe one more, or maybe start after, and then go for the southern area.
Lovely. Louis Haynes taking on Fonz Alexander.
Really talented with Archie Dublin. I watched him last time. A lot of he's very slick, very very quick. Another super. We got a really lot of talent here with Goodwin Boxing, and he's really talented. And again, we're just building him. At the start, we're building the numbers, building the different styles of opponents for them. He's got Fonz Alexander, super tough. But yeah, it's part of his development. But he's got a good team. Archie Dublin, Terry Calder helps him out. Really talented kid.
Yeah, and that's what these fight series shows are all about, is those talented kids coming through. And a couple of names we'll come on to in a minute that are slightly further along their sort of career trajectory, but giving the opportunity just to get the experience, get those fights under their belts as you're building them towards bigger futures. One of whom is Jiyan Oguz.
Similar thing. He had a bit of a setback when he fought Luke Fash. Really highly regarded by his trainer Josh Burnham. He had a setback. He came back with a win. It's another win. We're going to move him forward, and really we've got to move him into title contention next year. Very talented, but he'll learn a lot from that loss that he had to Haynes Singh. He basically lost because he ran out of steam and he hadn't made the weight right. He hadn't done this right. But he'll learn from that. He was winning the fight easily until he ran out of gas. But again, some fighters will have to learn the hard way. And he's learned the hard way because it doesn't mean he's not super talented. But I remember Denis Denikchev in one of his early fights. He was 3 rounds up and lost the last 3 rounds and got a draw. But
Yeah.
I've never seen him not fit enough again. It happened to him once. And it's happened to to Jiyan, and it'll happen to others as well. But again, he's still got his O. He's still ready to be developed, and he's still ready to win titles.
One who's been around titles, Balraj Khara.
It's his first fight under our banner. His last fight, he lost to Timon Duglin for the Southern Area, light heavyweight. That was a fight where he was the opponent and he was coming up and fighting at a weight above himself. But he came to me after the fight with Harry Holland, who was his manager at the time, and lovely man Harry, and he asked me to manage him. And this is his first fight for us. We're dropping him down to super middle, and we're going to build him back towards the title fight next year.
All right, and then two names. One who is within touching distance, I suspect, of titles. You can talk more. Ellis Steward.
Now, Ellis is going through the process, and there's a process about this fight. I've said to Ellis, we want to prepare him towards a title fight next year, but I think it's important that he does, for him, he's young, but we go through the whole routine. So we're doing a day before weighing at championship weight.
Right.
Against a fighter who's coming to win. Fighter with a positive record who's coming to beat him. So I wanted to replicate, even though it's a 6th rounder, I wanted to replicate a whole title experience for him. So when we get there, he's done it. And that's what tomorrow's about. It's about replicate, or this weekend's about. And it's not a gimme fight by any stretch of the imagination, but he's improving and improving and improving and improving with every fight. He's only 25. We haven't got to do anything crazy, but we're going to be ready to do the right fight at the right time. And we're looking forward to it.
And the final one on the card, whether it is on the night, I don't know or not, but the final one I'm going to run through is Prospere, a name that we haven't seen in 3 years.
Yeah, if not more.
Special K Prospere. Last time we saw him was fighting for the European super lightweight title against Sandor Martin.
That's amazing, isn't he? We went the distance with Sandor Martin, who has gone on to big things, and he's previously won the English title. Well, Kay wants one more crack. Just wants one more crack. So we're coming back with a fight here, and then we will look for a title fight for him. He just wants one more crack at something. He had a few injury problems that derailed him, but he just wants one more crack. Now, I think Saturday will show us, his trainer, Xavier, where he is and where he stands. And I think Saturday is about how he is afterwards. Does he come through it unscathed? How does he feel? How does he look? And what do we do next? So Saturday is really that defining day for him. Really interesting fight, though. I think anybody going, you're seeing a top quality fighter who has fought at a really high level. Sandor Martin. I mean, my God. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he's got left.
Yeah, he went distance with Sandor Martin. I think the fight after that, was it? Sandor Martin fought Mikey Garcia and beat him.
Right. That's right.
Unreal. So, I don't know what Kay's got left. I've been up close with Kay. I've trained with Kay. He is incredibly talented. Don't know what's left there, but go along Saturday night and find out. I hope he's got everything that he had 3 years ago still in the tank, because that's a hell of a fighter that you got in your hands still if he has.
100%. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him fight Saturday.
Yeah, having shared a ring with him, I can promise people he is as tricky as they come and so powerful for that sort of lighter weight. Great fighter. How can people get tickets? What time? Your call, obviously, because
it's a shorter card than normal. Doors are 5. Boxing starts 6. It'll be finished by about 9, 9:15. So Brilliant. It's not a long card. So you can there's tickets going to be available on the door. So yeah, you can just come along, but come along early. It'll be busy in there. Make sure you come along and enjoy the night. It's going to be a good night of boxing. You're seeing somebody that's fought for European title at very high level try and carry it, make it back. You're seeing some superb talent. Ellis Steward, who's on the verge of a title next year. Taiwo Mosuro, one of the most exciting light heavyweights around, amongst many other talents that we've already covered when we discussed it. But there's some really, really exciting talent there.
Speaking of European titles, Brad Pauls, and one of those people circling back to what we were saying earlier about people that don't shit on you during their career. Brad Pauls, I'm sure you're delighted to have the European title added onto his fight with Denzel Bentley on December 7th.
Yes, we got a British, the European, and an international title all thrown in. Um, it's it's an amazing build of his career that he's done so well. I mean, he turned around from the loss to Tyler Denny, came back, fought Nathan Heaney, drew, dominated the rematch and won it. And now he gets a tough fight against Denzel Bentley. But the winner of this is in line for a world title. So, listen, it's what dreams are made of, for sure. But let's be honest, it's a tough fight. Nobody's going to discredit Denzel Bentley, who's been there at world title level. He's a supreme athlete and a superb fighter. And it's a tough ask. Bookies have got Denzel slight favourite. I think it's like 4-5 Denzel, 11-10 Brad. It's a tough fight. He's in with a big chance. But you know, Denzel Bentley is a class operator. And I think, but he's in with a great chance. And fair play to him, because he's reached his dream already. Everything is now a bonus. But obviously, when you've reached a dream, it doesn't mean you stop dreaming and want to go do something else. And Brad's now going to the next level. He's achieved his initial dream. What more's left? We'll find out on December the 7th. But Denzel is a very tough fight. Very tough fight. But it's winnable. It's winnable.
Yeah, it's a tough fight, but it's a tough fight for Denzel as well.
For sure.
Nobody's coming out of this with an easy night's work.
For sure.
Yeah, incredible fight. Great that the European title's on it. Can only imagine the next step for the winner is to go on for a world title.
100%.
I see this week that Shiraz has pulled out of the Janibek purse bids for the WBO and likely to fight Carlos Adames for the WBC.
Yeah.
Which opens up that WBO route, of which Brad is highly ranked already, as is Denzel. Probably the timing doesn't quite work, does it? Because the WBO want to get that belt in motion somewhere, and they're probably not going to wait around until December. But who knows? Who knows?
We will see. But yeah, so we've got two fighters on the show though. We've got Lewis Oakford as well fighting. He's got a tough fight, but he won the Commonwealth silver. Now he's got a big opportunity against Alois Jr., who's I think he's 8-1, 7 KOs, tough kid, hard fight. But it's time now to find out whether when you get to a certain stage in your career, and Lewis is 33, he now wants to see how far he can go. And he's done very well. He was unlucky against Hedges because he got that headbutt clash when he was about a point behind and really starting to dominate the fight. But now this is a much better fighter than John Hedges, in my opinion. Much tougher ask. But you've got to be in it to win it. He's got a great trainer behind him, and he wants to take his chance. And bookies have priced him about 10-1 against, so they're only giving him a 10% chance of winning. I mean, Brad's got about a 50% chance of winning according to the bookies. On paper, that may be the case, but Lewis is a good fighter, and Ellis Steward is going to know he's had a fight. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. December 7th, live on TNT Sport. Two of your lads. It's a great show. It's a great show. I know you've got the logistical difficulties of being between York Hall for the Goodwin Boxing Boxmania show and Wembley Arena for that show. We'll come on to the life and priorities of a manager, promoter, etc. Nearer the time and how you deal with that. What else going on in the world? Chris Billam-Smith came up a little bit short against Ramirez at the weekend.
He gave a good account of himself, Martin, but I just think, levels are levels, aren't they? But I thought he gave a really good account of himself. He's a lovely guy. He's tough, but it's levels, isn't it? Unfortunately, Sky have lost the world champion they've got now, which is not so good for them. But he was not likely to win that fight. I always felt he wouldn't be good enough, but he put up a fight like I thought he would. It's quite interesting to see if you watch the fight. Ramirez, much the smaller guy, but he just had that edge. I thought Chris Billam-Smith won the first round, but then I just thought as the fight went on, Ramirez just took over and had that little bit too much for him.
Yeah, and it's almost surprising, really, isn't it? Because Billam-Smith's biggest attributes are his work rate and his toughness.
Yeah.
Perfectly frank about it. Ramirez only goes back a few years when Billy Joe Saunders picked up that super middleweight title at Stevenage Football Club or whatever bizarre scenario that was because Gilberto Ramirez had dropped that belt.
Yeah.
Um, 168-pound fighter going up to cruiserweight at 200 pounds, you'd sort of assume that work rate, size, heart, and determination of Billam-Smith would be too much for someone who's fought as a super middleweight for so long. But um, yeah, like fair play to Ramirez is.
But
I don't.
but what you need as the levels go up, you need power. And he does hit, but he hasn't got that power to discourage those fighters that are going to keep coming at him. And that's where he sort of lacks.
Yeah,
Because when you go to that level, he's good. Listen, he's a great fighter, Chris Billam-Smith. He's done unbelievable. He's should be proud of himself. But it's about levels, and he just doesn't have that power to hurt these people. And
you're
that's
right. And like, Jai Opetaia doesn't have the power to sort of one punch starch someone particularly, but it doesn't take many before that cumulative effect kicks in and he's doing real damage to people. It doesn't feel like Billam-Smith has had that against Akoli, against Riakporhe. You know,
it's the
it
wearing
does,
down and the work rate, but it's not going to work at the higher level. You've got to have more than that when you start to rise up and up and up and up and up. I mean,
yeah.
he wouldn't. Ramirez doesn't beat Opetaia, that's for certain.
No,
No
no,
chance, no chance.
no.
And neither would Chris Billam-Smith. So you've got to remember that it's about levels, and Ramirez will be found out if he fights Opetaia.
Yeah, and I've seen various sort of views and heard various people and had been in various sort of groups where people have suggested about Billam-Smith should retire. Absolutely not for me. I mean, I know he's sort of early to mid 30s. For me, there's such a good British cruiserweight scene that you can just go and finish off some of those stories really around Isaac Chamberlain, around Vidal Riley coming through, around Jack Massey being there. Yes, we've seen the Chamberlain fight before. I'd love to see it again.
It's just whether he's got the appetite to want to do it. When you got to the world level, whether he really wants, that's down to him, isn't it? I mean, I think he should retire if he hasn't really got the appetite. Because what you wouldn't want to see is him coming down the levels and starting to get beat by these people that shouldn't beat him. So, I mean, Shane McGuigan is not a silly man. He'll know. And there won't be enough. Now he's gone to Saudi and earned all that money. The money he'll earn for fighting in the UK against these British fighters will not be anywhere near as much. So, and I don't believe that he'll be motivated by money. So I think they'll make the decision on whether he's got the hunger.
Yeah, very true. And probably the biggest and maybe last final talking point of the week, talking of people falling down the rankings and sort of selling their record and their name and maybe even their soul while they're at it. Mike Tyson fighting Jake Paul at the
Well, I
weekend.
actually got up not to. I got up to watch Taylor Serrano, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I saw when I was up, I was awake still, but I really didn't want to watch it. But I did because I was awake. I was, by that time. Very, very sad spectacle. Really sad. And just wanted the money, sold his soul. He was in no condition to fight. It was very pitiful. And Jake Paul could have had him out of there, even though Jake Paul is not the greatest in the world, but he chose not to because I think he would have been hated if he had actually knocked him out. So he basically carried him through the 8 rounds. Pitiful. I don't know why anybody would have paid for it, why anybody would have gone to watch it. I don't get it. It's just a shame. The Taylor Serrano fight, however, was a fight to watch.
Yeah.
But guys, have you got any comments on the Tyson thing?
Well, I'm a reprobate. I got up to watch it. I was up to watch Taylor and Serrano as well, but I very much was up for watching it.
What's you?
And it was a mess. It was a sparring session, but I would frame all of that within the context of I don't blame him. I don't know how much he got paid for it. I don't know how much Jake Paul got paid for it, but Netflix were clearly willing to contribute however much towards Mike Tyson's pension fund for him to walk around in 14-ounce gloves and 2-minute rounds with Jake Paul clearly not intent on trying to knock him out. So as much as it was sad to see, I also think who am I to say Mike Tyson doesn't deserve the opportunity to go and earn a pension fund?
You can't. You did enjoy watching it though, did you?
Oh God, no! I didn't enjoy watching the ring war. He was sort of limping to the ring with his knees strapped up, and it was horrible. It was horrible. Sort of, I wasn't around during that peak rise of Tyson, so I didn't see the early days, and I saw more of the post jail Tyson. So I never even saw the peak of him at his powers. That sort of
I used to get
that.
up. I used to get up when he was at the peak of his powers and watch all the fights through the night with my brother-in-law Alan. We used to get up all the time and watch them.
Yeah,
It was amazing.
yeah. See, I've seen them back over the years, but my memories of Tyson predominantly are around the sort of Lewis Holyfield era.
Yeah,
Not that first run that he had where he was a savage, just pounding down to the ring in his black shorts, and that's it. So, yeah, I mean, even probably the Tyson that I remember as a child isn't the same one that you would have seen on the rise and coming to world title. So it's probably not as sad for me to see it because I saw a deflated Tyson get
yeah.
beaten by Kevin McBride and Danny Williams, and I already knew that he'd sold his soul to the sport. So if someone else is going to pay him to do it one more time, all right, fine.
I get
Um,
it. I get it.
and the whole Jake Paul thing. If you had to put it into a basket of Jake Paul is good or Jake Paul is bad for boxing, binary, no middle ground, which one are you going with?
Good, because I'd probably say he's getting people. He's not forcing people to give them his money, and he's getting eyeballs on the sport, no matter how bad it is and how bad the whole thing is. What he's up to, he's getting more people to watch people fighting. And so therefore that might spill over and get more people to watch proper boxing. So I don't think you can say it's bad because he's not taking money out of the sport because they just wouldn't stage that event if it wasn't for him. So fair credit to him for generating money out of something he's got an average talent for. Um so I'd say good on the whole.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I have no objection to him whatsoever in the sport. I find it hilarious when you see the commentators, be it the competitors or the actual commentators or those that are sort of observers of the sport, kick off about it. And then in the same breath, you get Arthur Beterbiev offering him a shot of the undisputed light heavyweight title. Daniel Dubois offering him apparently a shot of the heavyweight title. All these people that are so offended that he's in the sport that they really need to fight him for a lot of money. Like,
But the thing is, Jake Paul's not going to do that. He's not a fool.
do you know what? I genuinely wouldn't. I genuinely believe he would fight Canelo, right? Because I just think, like, what is there to lose in doing it? You generate so much money if you did that. With the, you're going to lose. There's absolutely no doubt about it, and he'd know that. He's not completely stupid. But how much money does that generate? It's
Yeah.
and Canelo's in that sort of period of his career now where it's whatever. Like no one's going to object to him doing that. Sort of, he'd be a hero in the sport of boxing for ridding it of Jake Paul. Um, I can see a world in which that fight happens bizarrely, and I'm not against it either. Just let it happen. I don't care.
But yeah,
I'm,
I don't I haven't got a problem with him. I haven't got a problem with him.
no, I've had to sit and watch a press con. Well, I had to. I caught highlights of a press conference of Tommy Fury and Darren Till today, and it's the most indignified. Yeah, it's just horrible. Like, and I know it's misfits. I know they're sort of in that separate lane to professional boxing, but John Fury piping up again and Darren Till dropping every potential swear word under the sun. Yeah, nah. At least Jake Paul sort of didn't do that. He just let an old man survive a few rounds
Yeah.
and then sort of did it with dignity towards the end.
You're not going to
Okay.
watch Tommy Fury, Darren Till, are you?
You know when you just think two people I literally couldn't care less
Yeah, there
about.
you go. Yeah.
Like two people. Darren Till's apparently the owner of Combat Chain. What's that about? Like, where's Combat Chain? I want to go back to those days, the big launch in Saudi Arabia where Hearn and Crawford and everyone under the sun was there talking about it. Darren Till apparently runs that now. Now he's on Misfits boxing Tommy Fury. What a bizarre world we live in.
Yeah, remember that combat chain. Remember, we know where that
Oh, I
money.
remember.
We know
I've
where
got a
that.
thread
We
on
know where
Twitter.
that money comes from.
No, I couldn't possibly comment, but if you find my thread on Twitter somewhere, you'll probably find it. I might retweet it later because I enjoyed about the absolute state of that mess.
Yeah.
Anyway, right,
Wait, what
what?
about Serrano Taylor?
Oh, phenomenal. Phenomenal. And the commentary ruined it sort of from a, I'm an impartial observer. I don't have any great feeling towards either. I think the commentary was disgusting. Um, Towards Serrano, I thought Taylor sort of gave as good as she got through the fight, and sort of I don't think you could object either way to either lady winning the fight. Um, I don't like Taylor's style of leading with her head, sort of the female Josh Warrington style. But take nothing away from even Serrano is tough as boots, isn't she, for persevering with that cut over the eye. What did she do? 8 rounds with it, something like that, 7 rounds. And just the work rate, the output, they were incredible. They
Yeah,
were
well,
incredible.
I did have Serrano nicking it, especially with the point deduction. But it was the problem that you have. Because Katie Taylor's a legend, but she does go with her head all the time. She causes damage on a lot of opponents' eyes. She's quite a dirty fighter. Let's be quite realistic. And so therefore, in the end, I get a bit fed up watching people get cut by her head, and she keeps going in with the head time and time again in multiple fights. And I'm not saying so much this time, but there have been fights in which she's got decisions which I thought she's lost quite clearly. I don't think Saturday was one of them. I mean, I had it to Serrano, but it was close. You could have gone either way. But when you keep headbutting people and keep cutting them, you're giving them every opponent a disadvantage over you. So it does get on my nerves after watching quite a few fights consecutively where she uses the head, nuts somebody, cuts their eye, and they've then got a liability when they fight her. It's getting I just don't like it. And for me, it takes a bit away from her achievements that she keeps doing this. And it whether she's Irish, English, British, that's got nothing to do with it. I just wish she wouldn't do that because she's got an advantage in every fight by cutting somebody's eye. And she keeps doing it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's fair. But
But it was a good fight.
yeah,
But it was a good fight.
yeah, it's a great fight. It's not me who's reffing it. Crack on.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, Saturday night. Enjoy fight series.
Good. We'll cover it next week. We'll see how we get
Yeah,
on. And we'll have a
probably
look at
next week.
some of the other shows that are coming up. Warren, Sky, some other ones that are coming up. Some good shows coming up, but we'll have a look at them next week.
Real excellent. Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you for watching, people, and we'll be back very, very soon.
Take care, mate. See you soon.